I'm Christine Chavez. I am the transit manager for YARTS and the bus, and I wanted to share with you some information about the services that we provide and just kind of some of the daily duties that we have as MCAG staff providing administration for YARTS and the bus. I'm going to jump into a PowerPoint here. Okay, so MCAG provides administration for the bus and YARTS. So I'm going to start with the bus. The bus serves Merced County. It is the Joint Powers Authority for transit services in Merced County. And as you can see from the map here, a majority of Merced County is considered a disadvantaged community. The fixed route area is highlighted in blue, and that is where we provide a core of our transit services. And there are additional communities we provide on-demand services to, but as you can see, these are the most populated areas of the communities that we provide fixed route transit services to. We service everybody in the county. We service those that are transit dependent, those that take transit on occasion, and those that just enjoy riding transit for the convenience. It services our seniors, persons with disabilities, families, students, and commuters. The roles and services that we provide as TJPA, the Transit Joint Powers Authority for Merced County. Transit staff provides administration, so developing an annual budget and work program and implementing that work program. We determine service levels and schedules for our services, managing third-party contracts for the operations and maintenance of the service. So our services are contracted out. We do not hire the drivers directly. They are hired through our third-party contractor, which is currently First Transit. The contractor hires and manages all of our drivers, dispatchers, supervisors, managers, and we oversee the operation of that through contract management. They also provide the maintenance of our vehicles, and so that includes maintaining and cleaning our vehicles on a daily basis. Fixed route services that we provide are typically a fixed schedule along a fixed corridor. Bus stops are located throughout the path of travel, and that is where the buses will stop to pick passengers up, and there are particular time points associated with each of those bus stops, which indicate what time the bus will arrive. Flag stops are still something that exists within our system, primarily in the more rural areas, and that allows somebody to just stand in the path of travel, not on the road, but in a safe location for the bus to pull over. And as they see a bus approach, they can wave the bus down or call dispatch and let them know that they will be there, and the bus will pull over and pick them up if it is safe to do so. Deviations are available if requested in advance. That is along some of our more rural fixed route areas. If there is within a mile of our fixed route corridor, if somebody needs a ride, the bus can deviate and pick them up. Paratransit services provide on-demand service. We do require reservations for that. That's primarily for our ADA passengers, our American Disabilities Act passengers, and reservations can be made up to 2 weeks in advance. And we do provide curb-to-curb service for that. So we have a variety of different vehicles in our fleet to provide all of the services. We have a total of 68 revenue vehicles, 40 low-floor diesel coach buses, which is the top bus that you see there on the left, your traditional transit bus. We have 14 cutaway gasoline buses. That includes the ones with kind of a further set wheel well and a Ford chassis with a bus body over it. We have 9 Ford Transit vans. That's the bottom picture that you see there. It's a smaller capacity vehicle, but it works better for some of our more rural communities. And then we have 3 accessible Dodge minivans. As an agency, we manage the bus fares, we sell tickets, we also make sure that the tickets are all printed, and we reconcile daily the revenues that we receive from the buses and ticket sales. So fixed route is $1.50 for local rides and $3 for commuters. We do have a separate fare for local rides and commuter rides because of the distance. And so you will see that throughout our services that there are two varieties of services. The paratransit service is $3 for local rides and $6 for commuters. And the microbus, which has just been implemented as of May 1st of 2021, costs $1.50. It costs $1 for local rides, and that includes a free transfer to commuter services. The sales tax measure V allows for veterans, seniors, and ADA eligible passengers to also ride for free. Kids will always ride for free so long as they meet the height requirement. Transit has a number of onboard technology that keeps information flowing to us, to the customer, and to our operations team. We have a number of passenger technologies, including passenger Wi-Fi, a mobile app called the Bus Live. We have head signs and way signs that show up on the front of the bus. If you're wondering who this little guy is, the bus here, his name is Buster. He's our mascot for the services. And so the head sign that says Merced is what you would see on a typical bus that indicates the location that the bus is traveling. So that is helpful and for passengers to find the bus that they need to get to where they need to go. We have onboard fare box for cash collection, so that allows the passengers to pay for their fare without having to provide cash to the driver. We have infotainment screens which show various ads, scrolls through a TV, and just shows kind of some latest information for the bus. We have automatic voice enunciation, so every time point as you're approaching a stop will indicate, you are now approaching M Street and 16th or whatever it is. So it helps people who perhaps have a visual impairment be able to ride the bus and know about where their location is. Each vehicle is equipped with 2 wheelchair positions, and they either have a lift or a ramp, which allows passengers to easily board either independently or with some assistance from the driver. Our vehicles are also equipped with bicycle racks. So as far as data collection and tracking goes for staff, we do have a CAD AVL service on our buses. It's called Synchromatics, and that provides the driver with information on how they're doing on time. It also provides information for dispatch as to where the vehicles are at any given time. Onboard surveillance is also available on all of our vehicles, so if there's ever any incidents, we can pull the video and confirm anything. It does have audio recording as well. We have radio communications, so the drivers can speak to each other or to dispatch in case of emergency or in case of communication. Validation for cash, the cash collection is collected through the fare box, and we do reconcile that against our ridership, and so the fare box is essentially validating the number of passengers that are boarding because the passengers have either paid their fare or have been indicated as a passenger. We also have automatic passenger counters. So as passengers board the bus, we're able to count them and be able to plot out kind of where our major stops are and where passengers are going, whether they're entering or exiting the bus. Our paratransit general dial-a-ride onboard technology also has a CAD AVL system. It's called EcoLane. It has real-time trip manifest for drivers so they can see exactly what address they're arriving to or their next destination. We offer 2 to 3 wheelchair positions. Each bus is equipped with a lift, onboard surveillance, radio communication, and a fare box for cash collection. The paratransit services are extremely valuable for passengers who don't have other means of traveling or need a little bit more of a specialized transit service for their trip. Our ridership graph is just an example of some of the information that we're able to draw from the fare box. We're able to see what type of fare passengers are paying. And as you can see at the table on the left, we do have a number of partnerships with the local colleges, UC Merced and Merced College. And we do have a pretty heavy student population that rides the bus simply to get to school. And then we do, throughout the year, we do have a number of fluctuations in our ridership. We do see increases and decreases based on, seasonal situations. So whether it's school's out for summer or the fairs in town, or, you know, over the past year for COVID, there was a pretty tremendous drop in ridership, but this kind of helps us monitor the system and monitor the health of the system. So passenger engagement, we attempt to engage our passengers on a regular basis, on a daily basis, make sure they know about everything that's going on, whether it's detours or stop closures or just programs that we have going on. So we have onboard messaging, as I mentioned. We have a pretty strong social media following. If you haven't followed us yet, please follow us on social media. We have community outreach events where we'll have booths at various community events. And then we have a website that provides information for all of our passengers. We attempt to keep our passengers safe. With onboard messaging, we allow for rear door boarding when fares are free. We do currently require masks on board the buses, and social distancing is encouraged where it's possible. And we do provide daily sanitation and frequent cleaning of high-touch surfaces on board our vehicles. As far as transit planning, it's important to be strategic in the way that we approach the services. And so we really take to heart some passenger inquiries or passenger questions as they come up on a daily basis. So customers can submit a complaint online. They can also call our office, or they can come into our office. And we typically like to follow up within 48 hours of receiving the complaint, make sure that, you know, we're pulling the video or interviewing any interested parties. We also have a customer service phone number available for questions and trip planning. So if passengers are not certain kind of where they're going, they can always call dispatch and get that information. Google Trip Planner is also available on the website. That's through our Google Transit Feed specification. And so if you go to Google and click the transit layer, it can tell you how to get from point A to point B using Merced County buses. And the bus strives to be ADA compliant and avoid any sort of Title VI complaints or ADA complaints, and we have been successful in doing so. We continue to make sure that empathy is practiced both with our drivers and staff to make sure that we're providing the best services that we can and being understanding of those that need the services. As far as planning the system, annually there's an unmet transit need which captures the community needs for transit. So if there is a deficiency in the system, this is where it can be identified. The long-range planning and coordination with regional services is also something that we undertake on a regular basis. So that's coordination with Amtrak, Greyhound, Ace Rail, High Speed Rail, whatever sort of regional transportation services may be coming into Merced County. We want to make sure that the bus is strategic and also coordinating the services there. And then the short-range transit plan, which is currently undertaking, it provides an outlook for every 3 to 5 years. It includes a service plan, financial plans, and capital plans. And that is essentially the guidance for the transit system over the subsequent 5 years. And so that includes fare policies and any route changes that need to occur based on analysis conducted with the data. So capital and facility plans, the capital plan lays out the capital plan for TJPA lays out the anticipated expenditures and needs over the next 5 to 15 years. It helps for budgeting purposes for starting to fund major projects. The short-range transit plan provides a fleet replacement plan for the agency, so that helps us identify which vehicles need to be replaced in which year, so that we can be more competitive for grants and know exactly what years to be going after those grants. Buses are replaced every 7 to 12 years, depending on the type of vehicle. Some of the larger vehicles, like the traditional transit bus, would have a 12-year useful life, whereas some of the cutaways would likely have a 7-year life. And so with 68 vehicles, we're replacing vehicles pretty frequently. The facility maintenance and capital needs are assessed annually just to make sure that everything is on track and making sure that miles aren't accumulating quicker than the useful life. And if so, then kind of rotating those or ensuring that we haven't missed any additional capital needs that are needed. We are also getting ready to plan for our zero emission rollout. So in 2029, 25% of all TJPA new bus purchases must be zero emission. By 2040, all new TJPA buses purchased must be zero emission. So you can imagine that it will take some planning to get these electric buses to run some of our longer runs out into the more rural parts of the county. How is transit funded? Transit is funded a variety of ways, primarily by federal funding. So this is formula-based funding based on operational miles, hours, and passengers, as well as federal competitive grants. The competitive grants help pay for some vehicle replacements and some other capital needs that are a need for the agency. State funding is also provided for formula or via formula for some of the more rural services. It is also a competitive source of funding, and so we try and go after that for capital replacement or just new operational opportunities as well. There's local funding that helps pay for the services, including the local sales tax Measure V. Measure V will help supplement some of the fares and will help with some of the electrification for transit. Vehicle and sales tax also contribute pretty heavily to transit services, and those funds are primarily used as a match for grants or for special projects. And then passenger fares, we do have a requirement to recover a certain percentage of our operating expenses via passenger fares, passenger revenues, and so that is also counted towards the funding for transit, and that is also why we charge passenger fares for those that we do charge. So we have a governing board, and all of our work that's taken to them is typically the approval of planning documents and concepts, authority requests for service agreements. Transit has a number of agreements that we take for authority, anything that exceeds our internal purchasing program. Authority requests for large capital projects, including fleet replacement and annual funding allocation projects. Competitive grant applications are also taken to the board just to have that formal confirmation that we're willing to provide the local match if we are awarded. So that kind of concludes the details for the bus. I'm going to now jump into YARTS. I'm going to go through a PowerPoint and then show you the website a little bit. So YARTS, Yosemite Area Regional Transportation Services. YARTS provides services into Yosemite Valley from surrounding communities. Starting from Merced County, we operate 7 to 8 bus routes operating from Merced into Yosemite Valley, traveling through Mariposa. We do round trips, and so we go into the valley and then return into the valley, return into the Central Valley, and that is a year-round service. So there is a peak service in summer, but year-round buses are traveling between Merced and Yosemite Valley daily. In Madera and Fresno, we have 3 routes that operate, 3 runs, and those services have been operating for about 5 years now. In 2022, services will be truncated and only be operating from Madera County into Yosemite Valley, but that is something that is still greatly appreciated down in south of Yosemite. And then out to the east, we have Mono County. We have 2 buses operating out of Mono County into Yosemite Valley. This is also a seasonal service, and it operates just after May, so typically about mid-June through the end of September. And then Tuolumne County has 3 routes running, 3 buses running from Sonora into Yosemite Valley. And in 2022, we will be truncating that to start operating from Groveland into Yosemite Valley. The governing board for YARTS consists of representatives from each member agency, Merced, Mariposa, Mono, and Tuolumne, and we're hoping to add Madera as well. The Citizens Advisory Committee consists of the representatives from various service areas. There are various appointees, but they are advisory to the governing board and help staff direct decisions and information to share with the governing board. So I'm going to take you to the website now to share with you some of the YARTS staff responsibilities. As you can see here, it's going to be ticket sales, schedules, customer complaints and inquiries, reservation software, and public notices. This is what the YARTS website looks like. It has very nice graphics of Yosemite Valley. And then here are the various corridors that I mentioned. This is the Merced corridor. This is the year-round Fresno corridor operating into Fresno, a seasonal service. And then Mono County, also a seasonal service once Tioga Road opens up. That is a very scenic site and very much a nice path of travel. And then Sonora County is also a seasonal service. It is coming out from the northwest. So online you can buy tickets, routes and schedules. There's a little information on how to ride, what to expect, tickets and fares, just information on what they cost, an interactive map to find your stop and scheduled times, travel connections and travel reviews, holidays and calendars, and then YARTS Gallery, just photos submitted, and then the YARTS JPA and AAC agendas that I just mentioned for our governing board and our advisory committee. So just kind of looking at our routes and schedules, this is something that staff is responsible for, and so each year we have summer service schedules that we prepare. So these are the year-round routes, but this is the summer schedule for the Highway 140 corridor. And so you can see the map there. And if you look at the schedule, you can read it. You typically want to read a bus schedule off to the right. So you pick your location on the left. Let's say you want to catch the bus from Prairie Village in Yosemite, and you want to get back to Merced. You would pick the time that you would like to leave. So you want to leave at 4:15, and then you want to get back into Merced. You can arrive by 6:49, 6:59. If you decide you want to leave, maybe get back to the transpo by 5 o'clock, choose this column, and you know that you need to catch run 146, Prairie Village at 2:15. So this information is all available on the website. Passengers can look at this information to select their travel. This is an interactive map with the various stops along the way, and you can see we have a few stops, but nothing too difficult to understand. We also see the connections to the various other regional transit services that are offered, and the YARTS ticket does include the entrance fee into Yosemite. So once passengers have selected their routes and schedules, they can go and look at their tickets and fares. Do a fare calculator, so if you want to still travel on the 140, select that. Otherwise, you can use this fare calculator here. You can pick, we did Valley, $19. And that's one way. So you can then make your reservation online. And we as staff are responsible for managing the website for reservations. For origin and destination. Village. The transpo is the transportation center downtown. So you select your departure date, and you can do July 30th, today's July 29th, so we'll do July 30th. And we'll do one adult. Find your trip. And this will give you the variety of options for trips into Yosemite Valley. I'm sorry, into Merced from Yosemite Valley. So basically, we deal with this, managing this service and information. And then we often get customer inquiries for modifying any reservations or just making any changes to the system. So the service that we operate the reservation system through is called Betteres, and that is a contract that we manage. So we also have on our website information on visiting Yosemite National Park. This links directly back to the Yosemite National Park website. Just making sure that passengers know everything that's going on there. Over the past year, there's been some pretty strong restrictions, so any questions can be answered there. And so all of our information is on our website. We're responsible for managing the website, so any information on here is coming from staff. So that kind of concludes my presentation. I hope that you enjoyed learning a little more about YARTS and the bus. And don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions or would like to learn more about any of our services. If you would like to ride a bus, you're more than welcome to. And thank you. Welcome to MCAG.